Dark Grays. Episode 3. Top 5 UFO sightings of all time. They come without warning, drifting through our skies, watching. For decades, the world has tried to explain the unexplainable, but some sightings, some moments in time, have left behind only more questions and chills. Tonight, we count down the 5 most bone-chilling, world-shaking UFO encounters ever recorded. Stories that defy logic and linger in the shadows of our skies. Welcome to Dark Grays. Let's begin.
In the early hours of September 19, 1976, a shining object was reported in the sky above Tehran by at least 4 civilians. Lieutenant Yadi Nazeri of the Imperial Iranian Air Force, TSAIF, plus a backseat weapons officer, were dispatched in an F-4 Phantom II jet interceptor to investigate. Once Nazeri reached Tehran, he reported losing all instruments and communications, so they returned to base, reporting that his instruments came back once he did so. Major Parviz Jafari, an IYF squadron commander, along with First Lieutenant Jalal Demirian as weapons officer, were dispatched in a second F-4 Phantom II to intercept the object. Jafari acquired radar lock on an object at a range of 27 nautical miles, 50 kilometers, its size compared to a Boeing KC-1 135 Stratotanker. As he approached the object, which Jafari described as flashing with intense red, green, orange and blue lights, so bright that I was not able to see its body, his plane's communication system shut off. As he attempted to fire an AIM-9 Sidewinder infrared guided missile, his equipment shut down and only returned to normal after his jet moved away from the object. Jafari later said he was startled by a round object which came out of the primary object and started coming straight toward me at a high rate of speed, almost as if it were a missile. But as he attempted to fire, suddenly nothing was working. The weapons control panel was out and I lost all the instruments and the radio. When he could report to air traffic control, Jafari was instructed to return. As he did so, Jafari looked to his left and saw the primary diamond-shaped thing up there, and another bright object came out of it and headed directly toward the ground. Expecting an explosion that did not happen, he claimed it seemed to slow down and land gently on the ground, radiating a high, bright light. The next day, Jafari and Demirian flew by helicopter to the area where they thought the light hit the ground, finding nothing. Occupants of nearby houses only reported hearing a loud noise and a bright flash of light during the night. On Wednesday, the 6th of April 1966, students and a teacher from Westall High School, now Westall Secondary College, reported seeing a flying object. It was described as round with a domed top and white, grey or silver in color. According to the students, the object descended behind a row of trees and into the Grange, an open area south of the school. Some accounts describe the object as being pursued by 5 unidentified aircraft. Sean Matthews was on vacation at the Grange and reported seeing an object with a slight purple hue and about twice the size of a family car. Some witnesses reported seeing the object take off after landing, and some reported seeing it hover rather than land. When students walked to the Grange after the sighting, some reported a landing site, but the details varied between reports. Students variously described a circle of grass as burnt, boiled, or pressed down. One student interviewed by a local newspaper described a vague circular area flattened by the wind. Students also reported varying numbers of circles from 1 to 3. On the 9th of April 1966, Air Force personnel and UFO enthusiasts visited the field but reported nothing of interest. The landowner burned the field to discourage people from entering the property, destroying all evidence. On March 13, 1997, at 7:55 p.m. MST, a witness in Henderson, Nevada, reported seeing a large V-shaped object traveling southeast. At 8:15 p.m., an unidentified former police officer in Paulden, Arizona, reported seeing a cluster of reddish-orange lights disappear over the southern horizon. Shortly afterward, there were reports of lights seen over the Prescott Valley, Arizona. Tim Lay and his wife Bobby, his son Hal and his grandson Damian Turnage first saw the lights when they were about 65 miles, 105 kilometers away from them. At first, the lights appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arc shape, as if they were on top of a balloon, but they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. Over the next 10 or so minutes, the lights appeared to come closer. The distance between the lights increased, and they took on the shape of an upside-down V. Eventually, when the lights appeared to be a couple of miles away, the family said they could make out a shape that looked like a 60-degree carpenter's square, with the 5 lights set into it, with 1 at the front and 2 on each side. Soon, the object with the embedded lights appeared to be moving toward them, about 100 to 150 feet, 30 to 46 m, above them, traveling so slowly that it gave the appearance of a silent, hovering object which seemed to pass over their heads and went through a V opening in the peaks of the mountain range towards Piestewa Peak Mountain and toward the direction of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. Actor Kurt Russell, an amateur pilot, then reported seeing the lights to air traffic control. Between 8:30 and 8:45 p.m., witnesses in Glendale, a suburb northwest of Phoenix, saw the light formation pass overhead at an altitude high enough to become obscured by the thin clouds. Amateur astronomer Mitch Stanley in Scottsdale, Arizona, also observed the high-altitude lights flying in formation through a telescope. According to Stanley, they were quite clearly individual airplanes. At approximately 10 p.m. that same evening, a large number of people in the Phoenix area reported seeing a row of brilliant lights hovering in the sky or slowly falling. A number of photographs and videos were taken, prompting author Robert Schieffer to describe it as perhaps the most widely witnessed UFO event in history. The 26th of December. Around 3 o'clock on the 26th of December 1980, reported as the 27th of December by Holt in his memo to the UK Ministry of Defence, a security patrol near the east gate of RAF Woodbridge saw lights apparently descending into nearby Rendlesham Forest. These lights have been attributed by astronomers to a piece of natural debris seen burning up as a fireball, meteor, over southern England at that time. Servicemen initially thought it was a downed aircraft. According to Holt's memo, upon entering the forest to investigate, they witnessed a glowing object that was metallic in appearance with colored lights. As they attempted to approach the object, it appeared to move through the trees, and the animals on a nearby farm went into a frenzy. One of the servicemen, Sergeant Jim Peniston, later claimed to have encountered a craft of unknown origin while in the forest, although there was no publicized mention of this at the time, and there is no corroboration from other witnesses. Shortly after 4 o'clock, local police were called to the scene, but reported that the only lights they could see were those from the Orford Ness Lighthouse, some miles away on the coast. After daybreak on the morning of the 26th of December, servicemen returned to a small clearing near the eastern edge of the forest and found 3 small impressions on the ground in a triangular pattern, as well as burn marks and broken branches on nearby trees. At 10:30, the local police were called out again, this time to see the impressions, which they thought could have been made by an animal. Georgina Bruni, in her book, You Can't Tell the People, published a photograph of the supposed landing site taken on the morning after the first sighting. The 28th of December. The Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, visited the site with several servicemen in the early hours of the 28th of December 1980, reported as the 29th of December by Holt. They took radiation readings in the Triangle of Depressions and in the surrounding area using an ANPDR-27, a standard US military radiation survey meter. Although they recorded 0.07 milliroentgens per hour, in other regions they detected 0.03 to 0.04 milliroentgens per hour around the background level. Furthermore, they detected a similar small burst over half a mile away from the landing site. Holt recorded the events on a microcassette recorder. It was during this investigation that a flashing red light was seen across the field to the east, almost in line with a farmhouse, as the witnesses had seen on the first night. The Orford Ness Lighthouse is visible further to the east in the same line of sight. Later, according to Holt's memo, 3 star-like lights were seen in the sky, 2 to the north and 1 to the south, about 10 degrees above the horizon. Holt said that the brightest of these hovered for 2 to 3 hours and seemed to beam down a stream of light from time to time. Astronomers have explained these star-like lights as bright stars. Military balloon debris recovered in 1947 near Roswell, New Mexico, later became the basis for conspiracy theories alleging that the United States military recovered a crashed extraterrestrial spacecraft. Operated from the nearby Alamogordo Army Airfield and part of the top-secret Project Mogul, the balloon program was intended to detect Soviet nuclear tests. After metallic and rubber debris was recovered by Roswell Army Airfield personnel, the United States Army announced their possession of a flying disc. This announcement made international headlines, but was retracted within a day. To obscure the purpose and source of the debris, the Army reported that it was a conventional weather balloon. In 1978, retired Air Force officer Jesse Marcel revealed that the Army's weather balloon claim had been a cover story and speculated that the debris was of extraterrestrial origin. Popularized by the 1980 book, The Roswell Incident, this speculation became the basis for long-lasting and increasingly complex and contradictory UFO conspiracy theories, which over time expanded the incident to include governments concealing evidence of extraterrestrial beings, gray aliens, multiple crashed flying saucers, alien corpses and autopsies, and the reverse engineering of extraterrestrial technology, none of which have any factual basis. In the 1990s, the United States Air Force published multiple reports which established that the incident was related to Project Mogul and not debris from a UFO. Despite this and a general lack of evidence, many UFO proponents claim that the Roswell debris was in fact derived from an alien craft and accuse the US government of a cover-up. The conspiracy narrative has become a trope in science fiction literature, film, and television. The town of Roswell promotes itself as a destination for UFO-associated tourism.
These aren't just stories. They are echoes of something beyond. 5 incidents, 5 chances to see the truth, or glimpse a lie so perfect, it's become part of our reality. Are they still out there? Watching? Waiting? Until next time, keep your eyes to the sky and your thoughts in the dark. This is Dark Grays.